have switched to the older technology here. It's probably something on our end. I feel like something was a little rocky on our side of things as we welcome in the professor, the Booker, the writer from The Athletic, Jason Jones. Jason, when did you start writing for WWE?
I mean, I just thought of the most predictable thing that could happen.
And even at that, I still thought they would swerve us, bro, and they didn't. It played out exactly like you said.
Was that Heyman was involved in it?
To
me, that was the swerve of it.
Yeah, that was a nice little something.
You knew that they weren't going to. There's no way you can. The last time they made Brock look weak was when they let Goldberg, who was like 80 years old, spear him once and beat him in like 12 seconds. Yeah. Outside of that, even when he lost to McIntyre,
I'm about to say,
like 28 Claymores.
True.
So they weren't going to let him lose clean, but you knew that they want you. Unless you were going to unify the belts, you couldn't have them both going to Mania as champion.
All right. Yeah.
So
you have to do something.
So the thing that we talked about a little bit yesterday here as we break down the Royal Rumble, we said, I don't think he takes the strap off of Roman. And it's like, well, who's ever going to take the strap off of Roman at this point?
I mean, this thing might go a couple of years. I mean, we're past. We're heading in the Hulk Hogan territory.
This is the 80s all over again.
Outside of the obvious inappropriate and racist things that Hogan has said and done, just in terms of the title reign.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the title reign only.
Speaking of inappropriate and racist, did you have a chance to go over Brian Flores' lawsuit yet?
Oh, my.
Now I'm working. You can get me back on.
This is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, live on video stream, Jason Jones.
I'm down in LA. I'm down in LA for a story, so
I saw you was at Woody's.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm down in LA till tomorrow, so I've just been hanging out, looking for, came to my hotel Sunday, saw a bunch of sad Niner fans at the bar, laughed at them.
Yeah, we don't need details. Thank you.
I just wanted you to know that I did see that. I haven't found a Charger fan yet, though. Been looking.
Oh, don't look too hard. You ain't gonna find one down there. My favorite new D'Lo and Casey bit is that Jason Jones connects with us from a different place every single week. What story are you working on?
It's a story about like food for the Super Bowl, but not just food, but kind of going around some of these like older Black-owned establishments, places that have been in Inglewood for a while, giving them highlighting some of those places so that when you get down here, you don't go to Denny's and you don't go to IHOP. There's a lot of soul, a lot of tradition in Inglewood. So I'm down here gaining about 30 pounds, bouncing around eating all this food. I just had a sweet potato pie cheesecake. So yeah.
Damn.
That's excessive.
Damn.
A sweet potato pie cheesecake.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. Yeah, it was definitely worth it. And I ate that as I was reading up on the Brian Flores stuff. And I was just like, shout out to Bill Belichick for not knowing how to use his phone.
Oh, man. Wow.
He says, I effed that up. I'm like, oops, my bad.
Yep, Bill. Sure did, pal.
My bad, guy. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, we've known this about the NFL for years in terms of these interviews, and they constantly tell minority candidates, especially Black candidates, go to the interview anyway. What if you wow them and change their mind? I can think of one instance where that actually happened. That was with the actual Roonies, with Mike Tomlin. Because everyone assumed it was going to the former old lineman from there, Russ Grant. Everyone assumed that it's going to be him. And oddly enough, the Rooney family actually took the Rooney Rule seriously and gave Mike Tomlin a real interview. And this didn't parade him in there, talk to him and get him out to get a press conference going the next day.
Yeah.
But I mean, that and just some of the things that came out. We know Miami's, the ownership is garbage anyway. We know that. Just the things that come out of that. And hey, Brian, why don't you go tamper with Tom Brady for us? And and the fact they were mad that he was winning games. Like, why are you winning? I remember I heard from a black coach one time, or an executive. He said he told the coach one time, "I know they want you to tank, but guess what? They're gonna fire you anyway. You might as well win as many games as you can, so your record looks. They're gonna fire you."
Right.
And just think how insane that is. That a coach can know it doesn't really matter if I win. I'm out of here. They're going to get rid of me. And I know I've heard some people from the NFL already. They are glad Brian's doing this. They're like, burn it down, expose all of it. And then the NFL has released that it was without the lawsuit is without merit. The same league.
Diversity is at the core of everything they do, they say.
They did give us, they are giving us Dr. Dre for the Super Bowl halftime show. So, I mean, they're
yes.
And Eminem.
Well, don't get me started on 8 Mile. But Jason, I know me, this is how I felt when it all happened. But this is what I was talking about when Jay-Z came on board. I said, for everything that happened with Cap, we don't care about no damn halftime show. Like, if you're going to do it, don't let Brian Flores have to go through what he has to go through, or make that known.
But Jay-Z said, this ain't about kneeling. We're past kneeling. This ain't about one guy. Remember when Jay-Z said that?
Yeah, I had a very low expectation for Jay-Z other than he was going to give us a good halftime show. I had no expectation anywhere else with him. And I just thought it was funny. The NFL tried to make it seem like he was going to be more like he's a promoter. In the NFL, he's a promoter. He has no power. He can't do anything. And this was just crazy. I mean, that Belichick was, congratulations. You've got the job. It's yours. And he's like, are you talking to the right? It's almost like when
dog, I haven't interviewed yet. Like my interview's tomorrow.
Yeah, he's like, so it's like when a girl's texting you and you get all excited and she's like, oh, my bad, wrong number. You're like, oh man, I thought she really liked me. And or you have to, or if you're the other end of that, you got to explain why you're texting the wrong person. I know I've done that before. I'd be like, oh dang, how do I play this off? But it's never been over someone's job,
right?
And it's almost like I can't even be. I'm more surprised that Brian, especially at his age, he's still a young coach, that he just said, you know what? This may ruin things for me, but I can't sit there and do this. And then like the Denver Broncos jumping out. There's no way that wasn't a real interview. The same team that we knew for how long that they were going to hire Hackett. We all knew they were hiring Hackett. It's crazy. The Raiders did it to T. Martin when they hired Gruden. Like, we interviewed T. Martin. Like, you talked to him. He was never getting that job. That was John's job. And this happens all the time. It's not surprise. It's really embarrassing how bad they are with it. To me, it's just really embarrassing.
Well, that's what I talked about earlier. It was a situation to me where, when we talk about black head coaches and quarterbacks back in the day, there was a level of ignorance of they really believed they couldn't do it. They couldn't do the job. It was too much, right? Now, that's already been shown that it was and is an ignorant thought and school of thought. They know it can be done by numerous different guys. Right. Now they're just saying, we just don't want you.
Exactly.
We just don't want you here.
This is all this is with Brian. This is all it is. We don't want it. We don't want to hire you. I'm gonna hire my buddy. I'm gonna hire my friend. Get over it. Hey, we're gonna give you a shot. You might win some games, but then we'll say things like he couldn't build relationships, or I just don't know what it was, but he couldn't connect with people. How about the fact that Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert and you took the wrong quarterback? You took a guy coming off of hip surgery. How about that part of the situation? And
then regretted it and wanted Joe Burrow the next year, which is why he wanted Brian Flores to lose all those games.
Yeah. So, there's just so many things wrong with this. And I'm glad, I hope this doesn't kill Brian's career. I think we need coaches like him in the league. But do what you got to do, Brian, because this is ridiculous. He went and sat through an interview with the Giants knowing damn well he wasn't getting that job. And the Giants had the nerve to say, well, to the 11th hour, no, you didn't. Don't insult us. And it's been, and I mean, and coaches have complained about this, not just in NFL, NBA complained. Yeah. Baseball's even worse. Yeah. I mean, think about how many black managers get second, third jobs in baseball, and how many other managers get like not even just black. Think about it. Ozzie Guillen won a World Series. Where's Ozzie? How come you never heard his name again?
Not even mentioned.
But some of these guys get recycled over and over and over again.
Meanwhile, Tony La Russa, 107 years old, coaching the Chicago White Sox.
Over there, bringing the whole play the right way coded mentality to, like, come on, man. It's ridiculous, and Willie Randolph in baseball, he could never get another job again.
Right.
But some of these guys get 4 and 5 jobs, and then the whole idea, and I wrote the column about Brian Flores, and everyone's yelling at me, oh, it's not about race. I said, okay, it's not about race. I said, they told him to lose on purpose, and they fired him in part for winning.
And then, like you said, knowing that if he lost on purpose, they were going to fire him anyway for not winning. Like that was going to be their reasoning.
Yeah, it's really, you can't win for losing, you can't win.
What did I feel like this puts the few black general managers in a difficult position. I was talking about Ryan Poles earlier. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in Minnesota. They're looking for a head coach also. You're almost like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't if you're a black general manager. Like if you hire a black head coach, well, you hired him because he was black.
And but they're fired, and you'll both get fired at the same time.
Right. But versus if you hire
Miami's the rare one. You have a black GM who fired a black coach. But I also pointed out when I wrote about that, the GM in Miami, his dad had been an executive a long time. And we all know in these situations, a lot of times, it's not just race, it's class, it's culture. And if you grew up with your dad in this culture, you know how to maneuver your ways through things like this. I think Brian's from Brownsville, Brooklyn. He ain't playing with these people. He's not here for the games. If he's got to kiss the rear end of everyone to do what's right, Brian's not going to do that.
But see that, and that's part of the frustrating thing. Like Chris Greer firing Brian Flores isn't a story, except there aren't very many Chris Greers and there aren't many Brian Flores. So one fires the other. It's like we got great.
And then what you get is you get the people, there's no racism. People saying, well, a black man fired him. What's the big deal?
Right. That's what I mean. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Like, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. And like I said, I'm glad Brian's doing what he's doing, because we've seen for years, decades, where there'll be an opening and we all know who's going to get it. And like I said, it's happened in multiple sports. It's happened in, like I said, it's happened to teams I like, teams I don't like. It's not just it's a league wide thing. It's it's like it happened in Sacramento with Luke and Luke Walton. Everyone knew the moment that he became available, Vlade was hiring him, no matter what.
Yep.
And we see these cases, and that's not even a case where I thought Vlade was like a race guy. It wasn't anything like that. But what black coaches will tell you is that that's just not fair.
Yeah.
And black coaches will tell you, have told me, I couldn't have a losing record somewhere and know that I'm getting a job the day after I get fired. He said, they say it's a matter of just. And made it, especially I'm talking about the situation with Luke. What made it tough for a lot of those guys is that a lot of guys, they like Luke, and they weren't mad at Luke. Right. They were mad at a system to where that happens, and they felt like they weren't going to get the same opportunity if they lost their job. And that happens in football. Well, Josh McDaniels gets, he imploded in Denver a decade ago, so maybe he's learned. We don't know, but a lot of these guys just don't ever get a second chance, and it's insane. It's crazy. And the fact that when Brian was let go by Miami, the whole talk was, oh yeah, all these teams are going to want to hire him. No one's hired him yet.
Yep.
And they say he's a finalist in Houston, but I wouldn't wish that Houston job on anybody.
That's right.
That's a mess.
Which goes back to generally coaches of color get the worst jobs.
Right.
I think Cully got fired for he overachieved by winning 4 games with that terrible team. Yeah. And they fired him. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, but
the NFL is going to split the difference tomorrow and find a job for Mike McDaniel. So let's just acknowledge that.
Hey, Deadspin isn't sure though. So hey,
that's right. Deadspin's still unsure. Let's go back though. You brought up Luke Walton coaching. I want to ask you a question I asked KC a few minutes ago. I asked everybody. We know with the direction of the Kings season, like Alvin's not going to be back as the head coach. I don't know that Alvin was ever going to be back as the head coach, but we know that Alvin's gone. Mm-hmm. There had been so much talk about Doug Christie. My argument, Jason, a few minutes ago was Alvin will be gone. Doug's got to go. Rico's got to go. Lindsey's got to go. Like everyone associated with this team has to go. Like this coaching staff has to have a completely clean slate heading into next year. Is that jumping out the window a little too much?
No, I don't think so. I mean, how do you? I know when they brought Doug on, there was a lot of talk internally about that's going to be the next coach. How do you ask him to take over this?
Right.
There's no pathway to success. And then, and there's no evidence that Doug is ready to be a head coach. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what are you doing? Just really, what are you doing? And I just think there's just so much wrong with them right now. I mean, maybe they should draft Zeke Cross. I mean, maybe I don't know I mean, the fact that
he's already got a promise.
If they draft a guy named Zeke anything, I'm going to fall out laughing. But,
I'll die.
But I mean, it's just I don't know how you continue to keep parts of the same thing and expect things to change. And I feel bad for a lot of these. Like Rico was anyone in minor league will tell you Rico was one of the best at what he does, and not just the development, but in terms of knowing the game. Rico's great. Mm-hmm. Lindsey's got a great mind. Stacy's been around. This is not their fault, but it's like when you come to Sacramento, that cloud is over you, and it's not your fault. But hey, you're gonna have to carry it, no matter who it is. Dave Yeager came in; he had to wear it. Everyone has to wear it. And I don't know how you bring anyone back and then say you're trying to make it any different. But then again, to me, that starts at the top. How do you fire Vlade for this roster and then continue to double down on this roster with the moves you make? Just keeping the same guys, the guys that weren't good enough for Vlade to keep his job. You just kept them all. You got that part of it. You extend De'Aaron, and I'd argue De'Aaron's worse this year than he's probably been relative to the amount of time he's been in the league. What he should be. He got paid, and he's not any better. He's probably, like I said, he might be worse. And Buddy is just Buddy. I can't really be mad at Buddy because he's Buddy. They paid him. You have all
what
these.
You expect,
bigs,
right?
Yeah, you have all these bigs on the roster. Obviously, they all can't play. At this point, I'm not even mad at Marvin. It's like Marvin is, he is what he is. What are you going to, this is just what you brought back. And then you tried to sell people on, then you fire a coach because this team isn't good enough. When we all knew you'd fire Luke and they'd get back to where they are right now. Like a road trip where no one thought they were going to win a game. And by golly, they didn't win a game. And they had I know it's bad because whenever they get down by like 30 or 40, my Twitter timeline blows up going, God, Jay, you had to watch all of this for years. I'm like, yeah. I've seen them down by 50 before. That's not new. I've seen that. And Charles Barkley always said, to get down by more than 20 like that, you quit. He's like, it's hard in basketball to get down by like 50. It's hard in the NBA to get down by 50. Mm-hmm. And to do that, and then, you show a little life in Atlanta, then go out and get outscored by 30 in the next quarter. I mean, this is just. I mean, I'm team blow it up. I don't know what you're holding on to. I mean, and then you make sure that gets into the media that we're building around Tyrese and De'Aaron. And then De'Aaron hasn't played since they put that out, I don't think.
Oh my gosh.
I
So
mean,
let's just go there. I mean, it's very odd to me. I don't know what's happening, but the fact that De'Aaron literally just shows up to the gym in Milwaukee and says, I can't go. I got ankle soreness. No, nothing happened. Not from anybody's understanding and recollection. No rolled ankle, no nothing in practice, shoot around. Just shows up. I got ankle soreness. I can't go. And hasn't been able to go for over a week now. I mean, it's not normal, right, Jason?
No, it's not normal. But then again, some of the injury news with this team has not been normal for a few years. And that's one of the other underlying issues this team has had in terms of injury treatment. And not remember, Rashawn Holmes had a sore shoulder for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept saying either something's really worse than what you're saying about Rashawn's shoulder, or Rashawn is being a wimp right now. This makes no sense. And we knew Rashawn wasn't a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
We knew he's not faking this. And then they put out, oh yeah, he's having surgery. It's like, what? I thought it was sore. So, and we've had this happen to them back in the summer with Jemias Ramsey. And then their problem was that Bobby doesn't do the BS game. Bobby just told us, man got hurt working out a couple of weeks ago. They didn't tell us anything was wrong with Jemias. We just noticed Jemias wasn't doing anything. No one was mentioning him, and they've now kind of created this cloud when it comes to injuries. And it's the weirdest thing. I don't know what you're doing. I'm more inclined to believe there's something worse wrong with De'Aaron's ankles than soreness. For everything people have said about De'Aaron, I've never known De'Aaron to just not want to play. To just say, I'm going to go ahead and drag something out so I can't play. I'm inclined to believe there's something more wrong with that ankle than just soreness. And they're just not giving us the full story on what's going on with him. That's what I'm going to be more inclined to believe before I believe that De'Aaron just doesn't want to play. But the problem with this is that it makes De'Aaron look bad the same way it made Rashawn look bad.
That's right.
It's not fair to them. I mean, if it's a worse injury, just say it. Just don't keep saying it's sore because, it doesn't – I don't know who you help by doing that.
But whose call is that? Because we were like, this is stretched from like the stuff with the injuries and how it gets out to the public. Like Vlade, now we've got Monty, so it's not a general manager thing. We've had Dave Yeager, Luke Walton, now Alvin Gentry. It's not a coach thing. Like, where is this edict coming from to be borderline like misrepresentative of what's happening to a player or what's going on with the player's health?
It's a weird thing because I don't put it on the PR staff is only telling you what they've been told,
right?
And then there's been people have raised the question about their sports science department when Pete Youngman got pushed out and they brought in Tina Murray. People have questioned about her. She comes from a hockey background. And hockey, you don't tell the injuries. Remember, hockey is lower body injury, upper body injury. And I do know that in the past, there were debates as far as you have to say what the injury is. And I knew Pete for years. One thing Pete never did was lie about an injury.
All right.
It's, hey, he's got this. Me, it wasn't like, me and Pete had some back and forth, not like because we were mad, but because I remember one year, Tyreek Evans told me the wrong injury he had. He told me he had a stress fracture in his foot. And I'm like, but you're playing. He's like, I know, but it hurts. And so the team is mad at me saying, why did you tweet? I said, he said it. He said it. And then Pete was like, he does not have a stress fracture. I will guarantee you he would have not been on the court with a stress fracture. So, but I don't know if they have that same level of transparency now. I don't know exactly who, and that change, that's when that change happened, when, like I said, that first year of Rashawn, when all of a sudden Rashawn's injury is soared, and there's just not like I said, it's confusing. It's just really confusing. And, that's one of the reasons why when Marvin was out last year with the injury, I wasn't completely shocked that he wouldn't want to stay in Sacramento in rehab just because there had been questions about that. And I don't want to be like I'm taking a shot at the people I know there who are working hard and trying to do their best. But when you cloud the information like this, when you're and the thing is they're telling themselves without trying to. When Alvin says if it were a playoff game he could play, which means he's probably not that. It's not that bad. You get a week beyond that, he's still not playing. That's a legitimate question. Like, what's going on with this? Right. And this is the second or third, at least I can think of, injury where they've done that. And to me, the person who looks the worst is the player. And it's not fair to the player. It's not fair if De'Aaron's like getting killed for because people probably figure De'Aaron don't care. He's just going to sit these out now. He's just saying he's sore, And like I said, I've known De'Aaron. I've never known him to be that guy. But we have seen in the last couple of years, the Kings have been very vague for some reason on injuries. And then all of a sudden they'll announce something. And it's like, oh my God, he's having what done? So it's just, more Kings weird stuff. And just get us to the lottery. I mean,
he's having Achilles surgery. Is that the proper treatment for a sore ankle?
It's like, what happened? Yeah. And like I said, the Rashawn Holmes thing was the clearest thing because it was like, he had a sore shoulder, rotator cuff. What?
Didn't something happen with Marvin too, where Marvin got hurt and they didn't like he had like a serious ankle injury or what it was, but I think they not to be funny, I think they like labeled it as a sore ankle and everyone's looking around like, why isn't Marvin playing? Why isn't Marvin playing? And it turned out he was hurt more than they said he was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like
I think it was the same year as the Rashawn shoulder thing. So
it might have been during that pandemic breakup season. Where the season got broken up. Yeah, it to me it does the player no good. Especially when De'Aaron had no previous injury that anyone knew about. It wasn't like he had just turned his ankle bad in the game. It's like it's sore. There are instances where a player might work out on his own and do something like this, but there's no shame in saying that happened. This is just weird that it's been this long, and it sounded like he was, if it was an important game, he'd play. Or how about this part? If you don't care about winning anymore and you want to pile up losses for a better draft pick, just tell your fans that. Like, De'Aaron could play, but we're not going to throw him out there when we don't have anything to play for. We're going to let Tyrese get all this run, and then we're going to hopefully end in the top 5. I mean, I'd rather see them do that and start trading guys and that to make you make De'Aaron look bad, you make yourselves look bad. Well, then again, things have been looking bad for a while. So, I mean, I don't know if they even care at this point with that. Everyone, people are saying they're going to make a move. I'm like, make a move for what? For next season? Because you're not going to make a move to change this season. I mean, I can't. The morale can't be great. I mean, I watch Tyrese talking. I'm like, they're going to break this kid. Don't break this kid. But I've seen so many players come to Sacramento, and by the year 3, they're just like, it is what it is. If we win, we win, and if we don't, oh well, we don't win in Sacramento. And it becomes a mindset in the locker room. Well, we just don't win here.
They got to get those guys out here that carry themselves that way. No.
Well, I know
the organization and all that other stuff.
It's more of a top-down feeling. It's not like the guys don't want to win. They just kind of feel like, well, whatever will go wrong will. I mean, for another story I was working on, I talked to my old buddy Iman Shumpert, and he said it hurts him to watch the Kings now because he really loved his time in Sac. And it hurts him to see these young guys who had
it hurts Kings fans to hear that. Can we get Shump back?
He said it hurts him to see. He see these guys he saw working so hard in actually improving. It hurts him to see where they are right now. Like, they just haven't gotten it back. So, I mean, it's, sometimes, who would have ever thought that trading Iman Shumpert, that things would never be the same again. Sometimes you have to know what guys in your locker room do certain things to keep the order. I mean, look at Miami. Udonis Haslem has been there forever, and he will retire when he says he wants to, and they're not going to argue with him. But he really plays a role in that locker room. You look at the Lakers, they were mad that Jared Dudley was gone. Clearly, they're missing something like that. So you have to know who those guys are and keep them. And the Kings clearly missed the boat on that one.
Right.
It's Jason Jones, the professor.
The Booker.
Thanks for joining us.
Next week, so
we can't wait to see what you and Vince McMahon have planned for WrestleMania, but we'll be locked in.
We got something good for you. Don't worry.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Jason.